What's up, YouTube? AJ here. So this is probably gonna be a short one. That's what I'm thinking, anyways, but possibly not, because this is a stuck in a blizzard hindsight. However, it's not really stuck in a blizzard. We're just in kind of a blizzard, small, medium, very small one, and it's kind of just more of a story. Just record an event that happened in our life that I want to have recorded somewhere as far as us talking about it. And so this one, it's hard to say how long this one will go. Anyways, I'm going to kind of jump right into it. There's three people in here, and I'm just going to say what's up to you guys, Virginia Roots. Thanks for stopping in. I hope your canning goes good. And my wife, Jennifer, Tiger 454. Thank you guys for coming in. So we got to get right into this. So let's see here. It was Tuesday afternoon when I got off work. I was just kind of cruising home, and I was actually going to go do a couple random things, just kind of take my time getting home. And what's up, Arkansas living? Kind of take my time getting home and everything like that. And but for whatever reason, I decided, well, I'm going to call my wife, see if she needs anything. I kind of do that pretty regular anyways. So I called her, was kind of, bullshit with her a little bit, and, like, hey, what's going on tonight? What are the plans for this evening? I'm going to head on home, blah, 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 these type of things. And she all nonchalantly is like, well, why don't you stop by Audra's house, which is my daughter. Prepping 101. Thanks for hopping in here. So I was like, okay, well, I just kind of had that feeling like, okay, maybe I should just, kind of jog over there in a quicker hurry than, what I was thinking. So I pop over there, and I walk in there, and my daughter's having contractions. So, oh, okay. So I get all excited and worried and, ready to go. Like, oh, okay, we going? We rolling out here? What's going on? But we had time because I don't know enough about contractions or anything like that, but we had enough time to where I thought we was going to roll out, but I'd already made a couple phone calls because there was a couple things I wanted to grab, because I guess I just thought I'd have a little better heads up. There's a couple things I wanted to grab, like some extra water and sleeping bags, stuff like that. So I called a lady I work with, and I'm like, hey, can you bring this stuff by? So she brings me by a sleeping bag and a big bag of water. And we just kind of hang out there for a little bit. That's a good one. I hate this one sometimes. Let's see if I can get the thing back shrunk down. I don't know if you guys can see me, but literally all I can see is my thumb right now. Okay, well, this isn't working out too hot. Thanks. I may not touch on the screen again. Do what, dear? Oh, you can still see me good? Okay, well, I can't see anything. Thank you. So anyways, she brought the water and the sleeping bag by, and we just kind of hung out there for a little bit longer. And however the contractions go, they're like, okay, well, we're going to head to the midwife. And so that's where they took off to head to. And they were going to do the midwife deal, which just happened to be across the street from where my wife's mom grew up, in a little bitty town, little Amish community. And my wife's mom grew up there, so my mother-in-law, and that's where the midwife was. So they had, I think it's about a 45-minute drive from here to there. And so they went to do that, and we went on home to do chores and everything like that, because the contractions were far enough apart. Nothing was like, oh, she's having the baby right now. So we just kind of went ahead and moved on down the road and did our thing so that the farm was set up the best we could to, go for the evening if need be. So we're kind of just, well, not we did the chores, and then I'm super antsy. So I went ahead and just took a quick bath. I thought, okay, well, I'll clean up real quick, get ready, and be ready to roll out the door as soon as we need to. So I keep bugging my wife, do we need to go? Do we need to go? All this stuff. No, everything's good. Instead of thinking of, what I needed to gather up. Like, our excursion was packed to the brim with all kinds of stuff, food, clothes, everything like that. I just didn't, double check everything I should have. Because I guess I was just, one of my youngest daughter's first baby. So I was just kind of more like worried about that. Should we get going or any of that stuff? But I got to backpedal a minute because there's a little bit of a funny part of the story that I left out. So while we're at the house, before we split ways to go to Yoder, my daughter's working through these contractions, and she has to go walking out to the car, and we're kind of all standing there getting ready to, leave or whatever. And she was getting ready to get in the car, and my son-in-law looks at me. He's like, "Hey, dude, I locked the keys in the house." The keys to the car are now locked in the house. She's standing out in the driveway, and I could just see the look on her face and everything. So we haul ass to the back door to get into the house. And so when we get to the back door, I whipped out my wallet and boop, ran through his lock, and we ran into the house. And he went and got the keys. And as he came back, he's like, "How in the hell did you get in the house so fast? Don't worry about that right now. Let's let's get down the road." So now he knows he needs to put a deadbolt on his back door to his house. So we get out to the driveway, and my daughter's still going through contractions and all this stuff. And I'm pretty sure she says something about shoving the keys up his ass or something along those lines. But it just kind of made me giggle. We finally got her into the car, and we put the seatbelt on her. My wife did, or keep her neck, I can't remember which one did. Put the seatbelt on her, and it made her belly just look that much larger. I mean, this girl's really, really big anyways. And so that was the little bit of backpedaling was there for the, whoops, I forgot the keys kind of thing. So back out of the house, we were kind of going through everything, and I was kind of bugging my wife nonstop. And, she was anxious, I could tell. And so we still hadn't heard anything about going to anywhere to start the journey. The midwife just kept telling the kids, "Well, just tell them to wait, be patient. There's no need to start coming now." And we're looking at it because by the time we get to the farm and everything, we're an hour and 15 minutes probably to the midwife. And so, we made some excuses to go ahead and get headed that direction. So we went, and started making the drive. We went to a town, kind of goofed off a little bit, dropped off some donations at Goodwill, goofed around town for a little bit, trying to find anything to do. There was zero to do because of the time of night it was at this point. And so we just kind of moved on down the road a little bit, but we didn't want to get too carried away. So we're like, okay, well, let's go eat. So we're sitting there eating, and we was getting ready to head to the midwife and just kind of hang out and chill there. And my wife's like, "Oh no, we got to go back to Lyons again because they forgot several things when they left." And we didn't want to tell them that we had already left and drove, over halfway there because we were anxious and wanted to be close. So we just got the list of everything we needed, came back to town, grabbed all the stuff they needed, and then I kind of took a longer route there, but it was still direct enough that if we needed to kick it up, we could make it there. But nobody called or anything like that. So we get there and start hanging out. And this round, I don't know, it started around 4 o'clock, I guess, when all this started to unfold. And then I think we were there 7 o'clock at night is when we got there, I believe, 7 or 8. Is when we actually got to the midwife and started kind of hanging out there. My wife went inside to kind of help with the process, and she was taking, pictures and all that stuff and like kind of documenting it for the kids. And so I just kind of hang out in the excursion. So the excursion is a really big vehicle. You camp out there pretty good. However, one of the items I was planning on using in there didn't fit in there because I didn't try it in that vehicle. And so I'm laying on, a piece of iron basically, because it's like a truck bed in the back of the Excursion with a little bit of carpet. And then I had, a couple blankets that I put all down there. And that's what I laid on. And so I was just kind of back there playing on YouTube, looking around at stuff, goofing off here and there. And then I'd doze off here and there and whatever. And so my wife in this time frame is inside, and they're going through all this other stuff. And she finally comes out because she does smoke and she just needs a break or whatever, because she's been up since 6 o'clock in the morning already at this point. So she comes out and she's like, "Hey kids, I gotta go let Dad out of the truck so they can use the bathroom, because from the Excursion, unless I crawl over all the seats, I can't get out of the vehicle to go use the bathroom." So she comes out to let me out, like I'm a pet or something, go let the dog out to go use the bathroom. I do my thing, we're sitting there talking, she goes back in, and it kind of carries on this way throughout the night, except for, like, sometimes I can't wait on her, so I end up, having to fill up bottles. And I'm, good God, man, I'm not even drinking that much water, but it's amazing when you have to wait for somebody to let you out where you're filling up bottles. Like, you don't realize how many times throughout the night or day you gotta, get up, go pee, I guess. And plus, when you're sleeping on something that feels like somebody's kicking you in the kidneys or ribs the whole time, that doesn't help anything either. So, the night just kind of goes on, and she comes out and kind of, updates me here and there. And one time I get out, I noticed there's a random car beside us, and I didn't really care because, it was time to do the deed. So I got out and, used the bathroom, got back in, and let's see, I think it was finally around 9 o'clock in the morning, 8. I guess it was actually more like 8 o'clock in the morning. The next day, my wife comes out and just bang on the door, and I'm back there sleeping. And I pop up real quick, and my stocking cap's all crazy and everything. And she's like, "Hey, we're got to go to Wichita." So I started trying to get everything together, to get moving down the road. I think I did it at a pretty fast pace, but I was pretty cold because by this time it had gotten late into the night, and I'm just like bundled up as much as I can with, sweatpants on and a coat, stocking cap, and I'm just curled up in a ball in the back of this Excursion trying to stay warm because I didn't want to keep running the vehicle or whatever. So it was a long night, to say the least, just on my part. Now I feel horrible saying that because my wife, I know, had a way longer night, as did my daughter and her husband. So from what my wife said, them two did a great job. They both were extremely strong, durable. Like she said, they're like little bulldogs, man. They're just tougher than hell and just hung in there. And, through all this miserable stuff that they were both going through, from him just holding the entire weight of my daughter, just leaning on him, to all these other things, it was pretty crazy and interesting. But anyways, they get out to the truck, and we start throwing everything in, and unfortunately, I'm trying to hide, bottles and everything from the lady that's, helping do this, and, get my daughter in there and get her going down the road. Plus, I kind of did against my, my gut feeling. My gut feeling says, keep everything kind of organized and, in its place just in case something happens or whatever. But then I got to getting relaxed, so I kind of had everything piled on the seats. So we're literally launching everything off the seats into the back to get going. And I thought that, like, we were all riding together. What's up, Ohio Prepper? I thought that we were all riding together, and turns out, no, we were not at all. For whatever reason, my daughter was wanting me to drive. I think it was because she wanted my son-in-law to get the car up there so that they'd have their vehicle there as well. But anyways, for whatever reason, she got in the car, and we all took off going down the road. And we're blasting down the road at a pretty good jag. I'm making phone calls. I'm giving, people stuff to do to try to help out. You know, like, hey, look this up, do this for me, honey, do that for me, type of stuff. Making phone calls because I thought, well, if I call the police, maybe I can get not an escort, but they won't pull me over because I'm kind of hauling ass at this point. And they said, nope, we can't do that. Just drive the speed limit. If you need an ambulance, we'll send one towards you, type of thing. But anyways, I thought, well, that's a dumb idea because, you know, if there's an ambulance en route, I could already been making it further if I got to pull over, you know, type of thing. Just let me kind of haul ass. So we just kick on our hazards and everything like that. But we finally made it to the hospital, and my son-in-law was in front. I call him. I'm like, hey, dude, you need to make this turn here to get to the emergency room. Oh, okay, cool. And so he's like, but I'm in this lane. I said, that's all right. I'll stay back here enough to where, you know, nobody's going to come past me. So we turn, get into there. He runs in, gets a wheelchair, comes, grabs his daughter. They all go inside. So I go to doing what I was doing before, just kind of hanging out in the vehicle, because especially here in this big hospital, you can't go in because I couldn't even be in the waiting room because of COVID and stuff. I had to stay out in the vehicle. I couldn't be in the waiting room. I couldn't be walking around. And I sure as hell couldn't be anywhere near the baby for right now. So I just had to go sit in the parking lot and wait. So I'm just kind of hanging out there, you know, talking to my wife, talking to my other kids, kind of keeping everybody updated. My wife would update me, blah, blah, blah. We go through that. Well, then it had been a while since I heard anything, and my wife had finally called, and she was upset at this point. She was crying, and my wife rarely ever cries. So for her to cry, something's wrong. And it had been a while since I heard anything. So I kind of almost started to get into panic mode, and I'm like, okay, like, get out of the vehicle. I'm like, tell me where you're at. You know, I don't know. Explain some areas, you know, give me a description of where you're at. And so we figured out she had made it to the basement of the hospital, because she hadn't had hardly any sleep at all. So she was just kind of groggy, and everything else was going on anyways. So I go into the hospital to go find my wife. That's, you know, obviously upset. These people want to stop me at this point to COVID check my head, you know, check my temperature, make sure I got a diaper on, and all these other things. And I'm like, hey, just don't touch me. Just trying to find my wife. So I go get her, and then I go through the routine that, you know, get your temperature check, get my diaper on, everything like that. I typically won't wear them, but in this situation, I don't care. I wanted to be in there, get my wife, and I wanted to be in there with my grandbaby. So, you know, on it goes. And with this beard, it does a lot of good because it just kind of, the beard's out everywhere, and there's like this little strip right here. But it makes them feel better at night when they sleep, I guess, to see that I have one on. Anyway, so I get her up, and we go to, you know, hang out, smoke, or whatever, and we hang out for a little bit, and then she goes back inside, and, you know, just time keeps going on and on. I run and get everybody drinks and some food because nobody's eating or drinking, eating or drank anything basically that entire time, except for me, because I'm just out in the truck, so I'm bored eating for one, and bored drinking and everything at this point. So I was the only one that had anything. So as soon as they called, I went and grabbed that stuff. I went upstairs, gave it to my wife. We kind of stood there bullshit for a little bit, and she was like, well, man, I really want a cigarette. But for whatever reason, she decided, nah, I'm just going to go back into the room. And I wish she was in here to tell this, because she does it a little bit funnier, because she just kind of goes, you know, bouncing into there with a couple sacks or whatever. And she's like, hey, guys, I brought, you know, some snacks and drinks, and everything's going on right there. It's happening. So she had to kind of set all that stuff to the side, you know, get the little tablet deal, which I love my wife to death, but she is the worst person in the world to put in charge of any technology ever. She should not handle it. But hey, Stuart, what's up, man? But she did grab it, and, you know, started recording, started filming, you know, taking pictures, all the fun stuff, everything like that. Well, as luck would have it with this particular thing, she couldn't store any more pictures or video. So she's having like another mental breakdown, wanting to bust this thing, but she pulls it together, sticks it down, grabs her phone, and is able to start recording just right at the perfect moment. Boom. Baby's out. New beautiful what was she, dear? Correct me if I'm wrong. 8 pounds, 7 ounce baby girl. Uh, so she's on the ground now. We got her. Everything's good. Mama's good. Baby's good. She did come out purple. Everybody had to do a little extra work on that, but it wasn't bad or nothing too traumatic. So that all went very well. And so we kind of just hung out for a little while. Daughter says, "Oh, well, I want sushi. That's what I want." And my son-in-law wanted a cheeseburger, so that's what we do. We go get him some food now. At this point, shit, am I on the right day? No, at this point, I'm sorry. Back that up. At this point is when we go get some other random stuff, kind of hang out for a while, go back to give them and the baby some gifts. Thanks, Ohio Prepper. Yeah, it kind of just de-escalate a little bit. So that's kind of what we went and did. And so my wife had been up from 6 a.m. the previous day, 6 a.m. again. We're at 1 o'clock. We're at 5 o'clock now. We're heading to our motel, which was a very nice motel. We didn't know. We just kind of cruised around and found a motel that we needed, and ended up being a really nice motel. So anyways, we go ahead and get the motel. We haul all of our stuff in, and I'm small town guys. I carry a weapon everywhere. I carry my pistol. I got a rifle in the truck. All the goodies I keep. I don't want to leave it in the truck in Wichita. So I go in by myself to ask, hey, how are you guys feel about a rifle? Because I couldn't figure out how to get it in to there. I had a good idea, but my wife didn't really want me doing it. So I just asked him, well, I can bring my rifle in. That's fine. So everybody at this point now knows that I'm bringing my weapons in before I bring my wife in and all of our stuff. So we bring all that into the motel, and nobody really had too big of a shit fit about that. But we end up just going to decide to grab a beer. My wife's just chilling out in the vehicle, just trying to relax because she's wound up and trying to shut down for the night. So I go grab us a beer, and we jump out there and just start hanging out in the vehicle and drinking beers. Well, it was a pretty good jag across there to go get a beer, but basically by the time I was done getting beers, everybody was kind of laughing that was in the bar, because they're like, "Damn, dude, I don't know where you're at." And when I told them, "Wow, you're never gonna get drunk with this," because I was making this really long walk because of where we had to park at, hauling a beer over there for her and me every 20 minutes it seemed like. But finally, we're like, "Yep, we're gonna go in the bar." So we go in the bar, and literally everybody in the bar already knows that we've had a grandbaby. They know our life story pretty much, because every time I go in there, I talk to everybody. It's a big town, and most people ain't used to somebody just coming in and starting to talk to everybody. But yeah, that's what I do, man. I start meeting people, I start talking. So everybody in there kind of pretty much knows what's going on with our whole life. So with this little amount of sleep she's had, mine was, I did get naps and everything, but I woke up feeling like I had the shit kicked out of me. And then I had to stay in the truck all day again. I basically spent 2 days in this truck in the back, and my ribs hurt, and my neck hurt, my shoulders hurt. I couldn't hardly grip anything anymore. And I think that's because of the white knuckle driving I was doing, but everything was sore. So we sat out there and just kept slamming beers, and we go in and we start hanging out in the bar. We order a pizza, we eat the whole thing, break some stuff on accident, and we end up shutting the bar down. So that's how many hours this lady stayed up. So we're at 2 a.m. now. And we finally go to the motel room and crash and have the best sleep we've ever had until 7 o'clock in the morning when we wake up, trying to get the coffee pot started, open the curtains to let some sun in, and there's nothing but a sheet of ice on the damn window. So that's how we started our day out. And we're like, well, that don't look good. And you're trying to look through what little bit you could see through. There's like a couple little spots like you can literally get your eye up against. You're looking through this little hole, and all you can see out there is, I wish I would have got a good picture. There's flags just, that were up on buildings that are just facing hard this way because the wind's just blasting through there. But you could only see maybe a half a block. I don't even know about that. Quarter block probably be more fair. And it was just white from the snow that was blowing across there. So we had, they said an inch of ice is what they had, and then this snow is just whoosh, beating down through there. So, in amongst all the kind of hurry, but not hurrying, but thinking of everything else, I didn't put my wife or my boots in the truck. For whatever reason, very rarely ever do I wear tennis shoes, but that day, I had tennis shoes on, as did she. And then we get stuck out here, and there's like this blizzard thing going on. So I go out there with my hoodie on and my tennis shoes to open the truck up to get it started before we eat breakfast, scrape the windows, stuff like that. I couldn't open none of the doors. They were froze shut. So I had to open the back hatch, crawl all the way across 3 rows of seats, leave my shoes in the back, start the vehicle, crawl back over the seats, try to open the doors from the inside. I got one door open from the inside. Crawl back over the seats, get out, let the thing sit there and warm up while we eat breakfast and kind of watch it. So this thing sits there as diesel, so it can run for a long time, but, without worrying too much, for good solid 30 minutes. And then we get back out to it. It's still pretty froze up. So, well, apparently somewhere I'd lost my ice scraper too in the mix of everything. I don't know if I kicked it out at some point. We both know we had one in there, but we couldn't find it. So there's a little shovel I had, and in my backpack. So I grabbed it out. This little bitty baby shovel ain't worth nothing, but it was good enough to scrape windows. The 4-wheel drive, it's the manual. You got to twist it like that to get it locked in. That was froze. So I get to an AutoZone, I get some of the de-icer stuff, spray it around, get it all loosened up so I can put it in 4-wheel drive to be able to drive. And then we mosey on down to the hospital. And that's where we visit with the kids for a little while. Everything's good. I finally get a hold of baby, which was great. It's the first time I got to see her the whole time. Then my daughter wanted some sushi. The son-in-law wanted a cheeseburger, so we had to go get him some food. As we're going, there's a car that's, on an on-ramp. Somebody cut them off, brake checked them, so they hit their brakes and they ended up down the ditch. We stopped and helped them. Again, with that little shovel, I get out and we're digging away. Trying to help this guy. I gave him one of my coats because him and his girlfriend, neither one of them had any winter gear on at all. They're in worse shape than I was. So I gave him one of my coats that I had in there, and some other lady came running up the hill in her house gear. She had sweats and a little, I don't know what you call it, a little pullover jacket thing. She comes running up because she stepped outside to smoke cigarettes. So she comes running up, gives us a real shovel. We shovel them out, we push these guys out, and we get them going down the road. And then, we went and got the food. We went to Walmart. We got some boots. So we could both have a pair of boots on. We went back to the kids, kind of hung out there. And then by the end of the day, it cleared off enough, and the roads were clear enough that we got sent home. We left there about 5 o'clock in the evening, got back home around 10, 11 o'clock at night. I don't remember exactly. So there we go. That's kind of the quick rundown of that. And it gives me a hindsight on my own because I can't do it. What would I have done in that situation? Because I already seen what I'd done in that situation. I had to crawl over everything. Had to use what I had to try to make something work. I had to feel like an ass because I didn't have the things I thought I had. I didn't load up some of the gear I should have loaded up because I missed it. I had enough food in there I could have survived for a month, and water, ways to purify water, ways to start fire. I had my backpack that I could have lived out of for a good 2 weeks probably, but I didn't have a pair of boots. I didn't have no warm gloves in there. I had the ones in my backpack, but I don't like getting those out unless I absolutely had to. So I just dealt with, digging in this icy snow to get this guy out and messing with his car. So it was a true testament of yeah, I thought I was prepared and I thought I was ready for this, that, and the other. But I walked out of the door and left him sitting right beside the damn door and walked out without grabbing him because my mind wasn't in the right place. Ice scraper, I still can't figure out where in the hell that's at because we've always had ice scrapers in every single vehicle we own. Other than that's pretty much the story. You know, it's a quick rundown of the story, anyways. Wish my wife could have made it in here because she could have told a lot more. There's a lot more funny stuff that happened that she could have pitched in on. But, anyways, we're getting down to the time frame where this is where I need to go into the hindsight of this anyway, so I can have this done in the 45 minute to an hour time frame. So, I figured out now at this point that I forgot shit that I shouldn't have. I should have double checked all my items before I took off. You know, this isn't the hindsight part of it. This is just the kicking myself in my ass. I should have double checked all my items before we took off. Dusty Data, what's up, man? Uh, Definitely should have just one quick checklist. That's all it would have taken. It was just have a checklist or listen to my wife. For the love of all that's holy, just listen to my wife. Do you have everything? Are you sure you have everything? Yes, let's go. Come on. That was me, you know, and she's going, do you have everything, basically? But a simple little checklist, you know, yep, I got A, B, C, D, you know, everything's done. Boom, let's go, let's roll. Did not do that. I thought I was ready for this, but as soon as my baby girl was like, oh, it's time, nothing in my brain was working, functioning correctly. So, hindsight on this. My hindsight on this would be definitely have a checklist of take items X, A, B, C, you know, all that good stuff. Check the weather. I didn't check the weather at all. I ran into this completely blind. Yes, Ohio Prepper. Yes, definitely always listen to the wifey. She does know best. Yes, you probably all do know best. Unfortunately, we always question that because we feel like we're the ones that know more. Typically, until we say it and we realize it's the opposite. But yeah, listen to your wife, double check your gear, have your checklist so you can look at it and you can physically see that you have these items right here. It's winter. I don't know why in the hell. I know why in the hell, but I don't know why in the hell at the same time. I just didn't have a pair of boots in the excursion. I got a pair of boots in my truck, but I ain't got a pair in the excursion. Well, I didn't. Now there's a pair in there that'll never leave there, ever. I don't care what time of year it is, because cold, wet feet are not pleasant at all. I hated it. I hated every step I took. And I whined a lot, so I want to keep my feet warm so I don't have to whine. In fact, my wife had to buy me some new socks, too. And she bought me a pair of boots while we was up there, because she felt bad for me. I was tired of hearing me whine. Do all that type of stuff. Check the weather. Make sure that everything you need is there, and then add some extra stuff to it in case you do get 100% stranded. We got lucky. I was able to get into the vehicle. I was able to get it started. I was able to move down the road without four-wheel drive. I was able to get the four-wheel drive unfrozen to get it into four-wheel drive so that we could move down the road in a lot safer manner. But I do have some of the de-icer in there now, but I don't know. I got to look it up if it's like ether. If it sets too long, I know ether, as it sets and it sets longer, it gets very unstable. So ether's not very stable anyways. The longer it sets in hot and cold conditions, the more unstable it gets. I don't know if that de-icer stuff is kind of the same concept because it has some of the same properties. I need to look that up and see. Stuart, funny how emotions get us all tangled in a mess. Definitely working on calming the mind personally. Yeah, that is very true. And normally, in most conditions, I can do that. And even in this one, when there was a time, like, my son-in-law was following us, but he needed directions, this, that, the other. There was like a whole bunch of stuff going on, and people, including myself, was kind of escalating. I just stopped and started giving like directions, like, hey, you do this, we look this up. I gave my wife a Garmin. She doesn't know how to operate. I said, hey, type in the directions. Just getting somebody something to do so that their mind's on that. That's what I should have done in the first place, was got my mind something to do, like a checklist, start going over that stuff instead of letting my mind race. But yeah, emotions, I definitely got to work on that myself, obviously, now at this point. I thought I was pretty good. I thought I could control all that stuff really, really good. Except for, since my wife's listening, except for when I get grumpy. I can't control that. And in case anybody from work's listening, I can't control that 100% if I get a little grumpy. But other than that, that type of stuff. 70% alcohol. Dusty Data says 70% rubbing alcohol is a good vehicle prep. Very good point. Because actually, I called a buddy of mine, and I was just kind of telling him what we were doing. I was kind of giving him a heads up because he's the fleet foreman for our company, which is a trucking. It's not a trucking company, but we have a lot of trucks, and he's the fleet foreman for those trucks. And I was telling him about the road conditions in that area because I knew we had some guys going that way, and I kind of was just telling him like what was going on with my situation, and that's exactly what he told me. He's like, don't get all that de-ice or shit, just go get rubbing alcohol. He's like, that'll get rid of the ice on your locks, this, that, the other. Put it in your windshield wiper fluid, which I run that winter windshield wiper fluid when I remember to change it at the right time. Thank God this year I forgot, but I caught it in time to where I didn't freeze and break nothing. But I run that winter de-icer in my windshield wipers. But that's a very good point. That 70% alcohol, that does a lot of good, not only for de-icing, but I mean, starting fires, cleaning. I mean, everything y'all know. That's a good idea, man. I appreciate it. I should have probably done this before we went to go have the baby. I should have done it, the day we were doing that, so everybody tell me, hey, grab this, or this. But anyways, such is life. Another thing, though, that I for sure would have done as far as a prep that I didn't do as a hindsight, I would have definitely had my new tires on already. We didn't have the new tires on, and we hit the really bad parts of the road. Now, we're kind of used to playing around in mud and stuff like that. Ice kind of sort of the same, as long as you can maneuver and, work your vehicle, you can kind of get through a lot of that stuff anyways. It just would have been a lot easier with a good pair of shoes on there. But such is life. We won't dwell on that too much, but that's definitely something else I would have done, is had that as a priority. I would have most definitely had some warmer stuff in the vehicle. I did not realize it was going to drop as low as it did. I was freezing my ass off. It was a long, long night, man. And like I said, I hate to say that because I know what my wife and my daughter and my son-in-law went through. I hate to say it was a long night, but man, it was. I would have had more warm stuff there. I had a lot. I could have put on like my coveralls. I could use my hand warmers, but I'm talking like, just some more cushion between me and a piece of iron that would have kept me a little warmer and kept me from being all seized up in the morning. And, like I said, I feel like I had the shit kicked out of me. Oh, yeah, Tiger 454 didn't change the windshield washer fluid out and it's frozen. Yeah, I try to do that every year, but this year I forgot. Mine did freeze, but it didn't freeze enough to break anything. So I was able to get some stuff into there to get it to thaw out. And then I put the, like a diesel heater that I got, like a rocket heater is what I call it. I put that kind of out and kind of forced the air in through there and kind of got everything to thaw out and was able to get that washer fluid into there. Typically what I try to do is, Halloween is a good time, or the month before Halloween sometimes could be super cold. So if the outlook's looking good and you can wait till Halloween, so you ain't wasting that expensive stuff, you can wait that long. If not, then I just do it on my girl's birthday because it's late enough in the year that I know it needs done, but it's not, wasting it for a whole time. Prepping outside the box. Holy cow, what's up, brother? Been a long time since you've been on here. Or since I've seen you on here or seen you anywhere, really. Anyways, guys, that's about it on the hindsight and everything like that. It was a good time. We've got a beautiful new grandbaby now. I learned some things, as always. I think I have everything pretty well, under control, but then I figure out I don't. But you know, my wife will always give me a hard time because I had over 300 rounds of ammunition. My rifle, for my rifle and my rifle, I had, you know, a couple hundred rounds for my pistol. I had enough knives to do anything I wanted with, rope, you know, all the good stuff we always have. And I forgot a pair of boots. So there you go. I at least could have, you know, shot the ice off the side of the vehicle or something. But anyways, as always, I appreciate y'all showing up and hanging out with us for a little while. I think Prepper Tribe's doing something tonight, and I thought I seen Dusty David was doing something tonight, but maybe not. I might have looked at the bell a little bit wrong. But I'm gonna hop off here. If you guys have any questions before I hop off, or comments that you want me to talk about hindsight stuff, or any ideas on what I should have done different, or hell, any ideas for the next go around, let me know in the comments. I'm pretty sure. Thank you, Stuart. I'm pretty sure all next month Heartland's going to be out of the picture for a while. Like tonight, he was looking at a house, and all the rest of the month he's prepping for taking his test and stuff like that for, you know, something for the city. He's really got to put his best foot forward, so he's really going to be focusing on that stuff. So he won't be on here the rest of the month. So I'll just kind of be winging it by myself and seeing what I can come up with. So, like I said, if y'all got any ideas or anything like that, just let me know, and maybe I'll see y'all over there at Prepper Tribes deal. So, thanks again. Y'all stay safe. Have a good night, and let's hope the world doesn't go crazy in the next few days. See ya. Oh, thank you, dear. I didn't see that. My bad. Maybe. I can never get these things to end.